intimacy and that ability to actually come home to yourself and to love who you are and actually be open to possibilities in life, that's where the magic is. That's when we can start having amazing sex lives, because it feels so safe and we feel so like that we're actually deserving and worthy of it as well.
I'm Amy.
I'm April.
Certified sex educators, sexperts of the year, and best-selling authors.
And we're on a mission to help you have more spicy, connected, and amazing shameless sex.
Welcome to the Shameless Sex Revolution.
We're so close, it's like we have our own language. We're making sex and relationships shameless.
To learn more, go to shamelesssex.com.
And for 15% off some of our favorite sex toys, use code SHAMELESSSEX at purepleasureshop.com.
You were listening to a pleasure podcast. For more from our sex podcast collective, visit pleasurepodcasts.com.
Well, hello, everyone.
Hey, everybody.
Welcome to our studio that April just said smells like a whore in church.
Which I love.
Well, her dog farted.
Yeah, and
So-
I sprayed some cover fire on it, and now it smells like...
We aired it out. And then April's like, it smells like a whore in church.
I was just being funny.
It was funny.
I love whores.
Welcome to... Me too. I love sex workers and all the things. And sluts. And I am one. Okay, so Happy New Year 2026.
Happy New Year.
Welcome. I hope this is a great year for you. If the last year or years before that were not easy, I hope this is a better,
This is your
easy...
year.
This is your
your year.
This is our year.
Yeah.
Right?
It is.
It's our
the year
year.
of us.
Us. Of Amy and April. Chip and dip.
Or just good sex.
Yeah.
Great oldies.
Yeah, maybe just like some more like peace and ease.
Unity.
Yeah.
Yes.
Vacations.
I'm with you.
So this episode actually was recorded a couple months ago. So
And I wasn't there. I was
know you were
super
sick. You had the
I
norovirus.
had the norovirus. I was keeled over on the floor.
Yeah.
Couldn't leave. I had to be near the bathroom.
You can't leave the bathroom.
No,
with
I
that
called
one.
you. I was like, bro, this is not going to happen.
It's like, girl, don't even try.
This was a connection, though.
We could have put like the Zoom screen in the bathroom.
No, that would have been bad. But I had organized this interview
Yeah.
because Hot Octopus, one of the founders, this is a dear friend of hers.
Yeah.
And so I actually met with Mark.
And they're awesome.
At a Zoom. Yeah. And Melanie, I met with him to see what he was about and what him and Melanie did together. And I was like, this sounds great.
Yeah.
And then I'm sorry, Mark and Melanie, that I wasn't able to be there.
They
Timing
felt
is
they're like,
everything.
oh, we know about the norovirus.
Yeah, it was not fun.
Yeah, so this episode, with as April said, Melanie and Mark Curtis, they're from the UK, and this is about healing your nervous system for better sex and relationships. This is a very important thing for everyone, whether you are single or in a relationship, because part of this is also just tending to and healing yourself so you can navigate all these hard experiences, even if it's not a romantic partner. Like, these tools are really important. What do you do when someone says a thing a certain way, or how do you manage your body and your reactions and your feelings?
I haven't heard this interview yet, but I'm going to listen as soon as we release it. And this is January 6th, so 2026.
Welcome.
So this is a lucky day, and I can't wait to heal my nervous system because there's some shocking shit that happens. That needs some healing.
I think you and I would agree that we are, I won't speak for all the rest of you, but we are always healing our nervous systems. It's like a lifelong journey. So the more knowledge, the better for all of these topics. So yes, Happy New Year. We are still working on planning our upcoming retreat. We get emails from you all the time about when's your next retreat, next retreat.
But we are doing something with Killing Kittens on their sexy cruise.
We're pretty sure.
No, we had Emma Sale. She emailed us and said it's happening.
Okay, so it
she's
is
like,
happening.
welcome aboard.
So,
we just need to know we're teaching, and we'll be on this Mediterranean cruise for Killing Kittens,
June 2026.
June 2026. So go to Killing Kittens. There's no killing of kittens. It's
No,
just the
no.
name, and you can listen to Emma Sale's episode and learn more. We're gonna have her back on the show as well, but it's a pretty amazing cruise, and we're gonna be on there with our partners.
Yep, we will.
Hey,
yeah, in the flesh.
Come see us in Europe.
So all of these upcoming offerings, whether it's that cruise, whether it's a retreat that we might do, or you just want to be on our newsletter list, we only send out about 2 newsletters a month. We don't share your information. And when you sign up, you get a free, actually the first 2 chapters from our book for free. So just go to shamelesssex.com, sign up, and then you're the first to know, you get the special discounts, and you get that free knowledge from our wonderful book, Shameless
We'll probably
Sex.
have a code eventually for Killing Kittens once they solidify it, but it's the new year.
The code will be, we do not kill kittens.
No one's killing anything.
No.
It's about killing it in the bedroom.
Oh, I'm a pussy slayer.
Yeah, you're killing pussy, but in a good
The
way.
code is pussy slayer.
Yeah.
We don't know that yet, though. Don't try to use that.
No,
Are you
no.
ready for a sex question?
Yeah.
Okay. And this is, I think this person sent this in maybe a week or two ago.
Okay.
Hello, I am a 38-year-old male married to a 39-year-old female. Sex used to be amazing and fun, but now it's more or less just about getting a quick orgasm. Before we were married, my wife used to swallow my cum, fuck in the car, and like to get her ass eaten. None of these apply anymore. Need help to spice things back up! Exclamation!
Womp womp. That's sad that none of those things are happening anymore. But guess what?
It's also kind of
normal. But also,
yeah.
it's like it might not be sad for her. It's sad for him.
Yeah,
and he's like, womp womp.
It could be sad for her too, though, because So I think a lot of people assume that the partner that maybe is like less interested in sex or the adventurous sides of sex, they're just okay with it, and a lot of people are. They're like, no, I kind of like it this way, but for a lot of those folks, they are actually frustrated that they just don't have that burning desire that they once did, during the lust phase or the first couple of years. And we don't know about your relationship, right? Like your relationship is, we've said this before, it's a house and it's built on a foundation. And if there are cracks in that foundation, meaning like arguments, whatever, things that go down that are not fully resolved, that need repair, or maybe have only been kind of repaired, even if they're not about sex, they affect sex. They affect people's ability to want to like show up, touch, be touched, engage, be connected.
Oh, there's also two parts to this question, meaning there's two humans involved in this question. And so when he was talking about before we were married, my wife used to swallow my cum, fuck in the car, and likes to get her ass eaten. So my question for you, human that wrote this question, dude, has your cum taste changed?
Ooh.
Have you done anything with your diet that maybe it doesn't taste like you'd want to swallow it, because that could be a way and she doesn't want to tell you? Maybe not, but I'm just saying diet can, and then fuck in the car. Did you get a smaller car? Is it not as comfortable?
I love the way your brain works.
That's how my brain works.
It's so literal. It's like, yeah.
Yes, because I'm like,
this is all things to think about,
because if you were fucking in a Honda Accord and it was, big enough and now you got a Fiat, that could be a problem.
I mean, even the Accord was small, so I was going to be more like you had the Suburban.
So maybe go trade it in, get a Suburban, and then be like, bro, you set up a sexy zone in the back. And then as far as eating her ass, look, that can change. Maybe there's something going on where she doesn't know if she wants her ass eaten, or maybe you grew a beard and it might be itchy,
or also maybe it was something. So like our sexual interests change, right? Like so sometimes we're like we're more into something anal, or it's more adventurous, and then that changes. Okay, so fun. Just like to make it about me for a second. So my partner and I have this joke of that we are now Costco married, and because we're Costco married, anal's not a thing anymore.
What does that mean?
I know. Now I have to tell you what that means. So I've been added to his Costco account. But this is none of these are related, everyone. It's just in the last couple months, anal for me has not been something where because for me it's checking with my body, I'm more like anal for me is a nighttime thing. And if at nighttime if I'm either a little gassy or like a little bloated or just tired or whatever, anal is not the thing on the menu. And so the joke now is like, well, no, we're Costco. He's not guilt. It's just funny. Like, even though we're Costco married now, obviously anal's not happening. But for me, I really it requires me to be like, anal happens when I'm like, oh, I want your cock in my ass. And if my body, mind, or spirit is like not feeling that, then that's not the thing. So this is just a temporary thing and a joke. I don't think that your issue is that you guys are Costco married.
Well, she was also getting her ass eaten, which is a whole different ballgame than just the whole
Was she
penetration.
really enjoying it though? Was she doing it because you liked it, and then it maybe just felt like something that you liked? So she was, and now maybe she's in a place where she's being better about boundaries without actually speaking to them. This is just so normal, not like the individual pieces, just for like things have changed. It used to be wild, now it's not. So first and foremost, have you two talked to each other about this?
That's what I was going to ask.
Yeah. Have you had a conversation? And not like, you should swallow my cum and let me eat your ass. More like, hey, I've noticed that our sex life has changed, right? There's these things that we did, and and I know we're always changing, and they're not really something you're into or on the menu anymore. But like, how are you feeling about our sex life? How are you feeling about our romance, our connection, our your desire for me, and and a harder question that people don't want to ask, they don't want to hear the answer to, is like, is there anything more or better that I could do?
Yeah.
The answer could be hard, but will help everyone.
There could be shame too with the eating your ass thing. So I'm thinking about this in terms of, are there hemorrhoids involved? Because I've had
they don't know.
lots
Do they
of
have
friends.
babies? Yeah.
Did they have kids? Was there an episiotomy? If they had,
What if she has irritable bowel syndrome now?
Right. There could be things that maybe she doesn't even want to talk to you about, because sometimes people don't share everything that's going on with their own bodies with their partners, and sometimes they do.
Yeah.
But I'm saying maybe there's something going on where she has shame around her ass and
Or
she doesn't
maybe,
want a tongue in
maybe
there.
you. This is again
Or
projection.
maybe not. I'm not saying maybe not, but like there could be something there where you don't know. I don't know because I'm not this person, but I do recognize the fact that there sometimes are things linked to your own self-awareness of what's going on with your body that you might not like right now or not into, and you don't know what's going on. Like if you have even like vaginal stuff sometimes that can happen with women when they have shifts or
you
there's
saw
so
a
many
porn,
questions.
you saw a butthole that looked different than yours, and you decided that now you don't want any face or mouth near your butthole because it's different, right? There's so many possibilities.
Or maybe she just doesn't, as you said, maybe she just doesn't like it anymore.
And so with this, right, again, starting with the conversation and like, what's working, what's not working, what are we wanting more of? And a lot of these things that you're speaking to, right, this is like, swallow my cum, fuck in the car, me eating her ass. Those are all like new, exciting things that might still be on the table. And because what happens in long-term relationships, especially for the pussy owners, is the spontaneous sex drive, right? That like, oh, I just want this right now. That like excitement, it changes. So maybe she also just needs a lot more attention, warm up, foreplay, all the other things to go into those exciting spaces. Like before it was like, oh, we could just go in there like within 5 seconds. Maybe she just needs more of something that you're not aware of yet, because it sounds like you probably haven't had this conversation yet.
Also, is her libido has it shifted? Is there?
She's perimenopause.
There could be hormone shifts that look. A lot of people on SSRIs. There's no judgment. That can help shift your libido into a negative way, meaning you don't have one or it's few and far between. There could be, of course, perimenopause. 39 is
testosterone's going down. Estrogen's all wackadoodle. It might be
time for, if she wants to, and take a look at that. Because it sounds like, if you're not getting enough action and you need help spicing it up, you need to work from the inside out. And yes, I could say get a bunch of sex toys, but if she's not physically, if she might be physically ready, but she's not mentally prepared or wanting a shift, or even like her hormonally prepared, right? The physiology. Your body changes too. Is she like, I hate my body right now?
Yeah.
Or I have zero drive.
These are all conversations to have,
but
right?
She's going to have to want to,
and
she's going to have to do that work.
And you, though, can be the one to you're not pressuring her. You're
supporting.
Being curious, right?
And
So it's like, and also the other thing is like, we are ever evolving, changing humans. And so like, please don't ever try to be set on what it once was, because when you do that, it's a recipe for disaster. It's a recipe for disappointment and resentment. And so it's okay. So that's how this was. Where are we now? What feels good now? What do we need now? Maybe it is she needs an amazing sex toy. I don't know, maybe a magic wand for a little bit. And then all of a sudden she's super turned on, and then she wants your mouth on her ass or not. And maybe she's also like, I don't want your mouth on my ass anymore.
And maybe it's time to
just part of
expand the sexual menu. And you can think about, if you have the means, do a retreat, do one of the sexy cruises, be around a bunch of like-minded people.
Shameless Sex, the book is very much.
But if you want an immersive experience too, you can go and have an experiential. There's so many tools out there, and some people might not have the funds to do that. So you can get the book anyway.
Or the Audible, because the way the book is written is more like just kind of about this. Like this exact question is kind of in there, minus like eating ass and stuff. It's just like things changed. We need help. And what our book is designed to do is not for us to not say, here's exactly what you should do. It's what's the outcome that you want. And we give you so many options. So if you've not checked out Shameless Sex, the book, you can go and get it on Amazon. You can go to our website. There's an Audible. We read it ourselves. And I love that you're seeking help for this though. So praise to you, and stay open and curious and start that conversation.
Yeah. A lot of questions for your question.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're confused on like, how do I even have those conversations? Again, Shameless Sex, the book, we have a whole chapter on how to talk about these things.
But don't give up, okay?
Yeah.
You got this.
You got this.
You got this. All right, you ready for the bio?
Yeah.
Melanie and Mark are the co-founders of Coming Home Coaching, where they guide clients into deeper intimacy with themselves and their relationships. Melanie is a trauma-informed coach and somatic practitioner. Mark is a coach and subconscious reprogramming facilitator who works with belief systems and deep-rooted conditioning. Their work leads to richer relationships, greater intimacy, and more fulfilling sex lives. To learn more, check out cominghomecoaching.com.
All right, everyone, it is interview time. And unfortunately, dun dun dun, April's not here. She is sick. And she never gets sick, but she's like legitimately sick. No, it's not the vid, everyone. It is something else, and she will recover. But we miss you, Chip. We love you very much. And she was super bummed also to not be here because she loves those British folks. And these two amazing humans are also close with some amazing humans at Hot Octopus, with a sex toy company that she used to work for that we absolutely adore to this day. And we are not here to talk about sex toys, but it might come up because, you know, it's Shameless Sex. But we are here with Melanie and Mark Curtis. We are here to learn all about sexual healing as a means to enter into a realm of more sexual vibrance. They created something called the SomaCode and so much more. You already heard a little bit about them in the intro, in the bio, but let's start with the same prompt that we always start with. Melanie and Mark, welcome to the show. And can you please tell us, meaning me and, well, all the people listening that are not here that you cannot see, many thousands of them, how you got to where you are today in the field of intimacy and relationships?
So thank you for having us here. We are really, really excited. How we got here, gosh, I mean, it's been a long journey. It's been a long road to get here. And I think that really for me, I went through my own journey of healing. I'm a survivor of child sexual abuse. So there was lots of sexual trauma in my history, in my past, that meant that I had certain ideas around sex and intimacy and relationships that needed a lot of work. There was a lot of shame for me around that stuff. And taking, you know, the messaging that I got from my childhood kind of into my adulthood and acting out in certain ways around sex. And there was a lot of conditioning for me that needed looking at. And to get to the place where I could understand how to really receive pleasure and joy and how to be intimacy. I always break intimacy down, and your listeners have probably heard this before, into the words into me see.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God, April would die right now. Just because she keeps referencing the movie The Love Guru, which is a comedy. It's ridiculous, but there's something like into me. Anyways, so she's going to she's going to listen later. She's like, damn it, I wasn't there. Anyways, continue. I'm sorry that went to like a totally irreverent thing.
Intimacy is literally into me see. Mm-hmm. And I think when we have had a lot of trauma in our pasts, letting people really see into who we truly are is a very, very, very vulnerable and difficult place to be. So we have to learn to feel safe and build a really great relationship with ourselves and get to love all of those messy parts of ourselves to allow other people to see into that. So that's how I got to where I am now, is doing a shit ton of work on myself, really, you know, understanding about my relationship with myself, with intimacy, with sex, and then bringing that into the coaching work that I do, which, I mean, we don't specialize in sex, but I would say 100% of my clients at some point, we'll certainly always end up talking about relationships. We'll always end up talking about intimacy. And I would say 99% of the time, we will end up talking about sex because it all goes hand in hand.
And so my journey is really interesting. So for the last 25 years, I've been studying spirituality and its connections with kind of intimacy, but not just from a sexual perspective, but from the perspective of being able to open up to life truly. And what I realized after like years and years of study and being a practitioner of like Reiki and different types of healing, I've started studying the subconscious mind, which has blown my life apart, essentially, in the most amazing way. And I realized that from all the study that so much of our lives has, you know, the first 7 years of our lives, especially, as Melanie's talking about, has so much governance over the rest, essentially, because we're in a theta state at that age. So the models that we're shown around love, sexuality, safety, money, all of these things, we literally just take verbatim into the subconscious and keep recreating those patterns again and again for the rest of our lives. And so on a real desire and a journey to become free myself, I've been studying the mind. And it's just amazing working with people to help them get free of all their pain and their suffering of childhood. And so much of that is connected to intimacy and sexuality. And I'm totally happy to unpick that and chat through it and look at that.
Yeah. And I think you already answered this, but I'm going to link it to something you just said. So one of my next questions is, why is it so important to learn how to work with your nervous system for sexual healing and vibrance? And also, you were speaking to the subconscious mind, and I instantly thought about how a lot of people feel like they're making choices that are either similar to their wounding, or they're these choices or decisions. They're like, it almost feels like a computer program, right? Like the woman or man or the person who keeps choosing the wrong partners, right? And whether they remind them of their parents or not, but it feels like, how do I stop doing this? I don't know how to stop doing this, right? And so that's not necessarily fully related to sex, but so those, I don't know if that's a question in there, but is that part of this? Like when learning to work with your nervous system?
Yeah. So I can speak from the nervous system,
and I'll
you can
speak
speak from the subconscious.
Perfect.
So from the nervous system perspective, why it's so important. Well, there's lots of reasons, but first of all, we have to be in what is called a parasympathetic state in our nervous system to be able to fully experience joy and pleasure, right? So being in a parasympathetic state, that is, some people might call that being in our socially connected state, right? It's the rest and digest place. And that is the only place in our nervous system where we can actually feel fully connected to ourselves, connected to others, connected to spirit, to the world, whatever you want to call it, to God, to the universe. So if we are in anything that is not that, accessing joy, pleasure, desire, all of those things that we need to have a really beautiful, abundant sex life isn't attainable. We cannot access those things if we don't have regulation in our nervous system. And the other thing that I really believe in, what my experience is that we need to experience that real embodied safety in ourselves to then be able to receive in a way that feels connected and that feels intimate. And that can look like anything. I mean, it can look like a one-night stand. It can look like an orgy. It can look like, torture. It can look like whatever you want it to look like. That's just personal preference. But at the core of it, we need to feel safe to feel connected to what we are experiencing.
100%. And from the subconscious is such an interesting one, because that part of the psyche does 95% of our thinking, right? And it works at 1,000,000 times the processing power of the conscious mind, right? And the issue is, so many of us find it's almost impossible to access that. And what happens is, again, like there's a famous Stoic saying, is show me the 7-year-old and I'll show you the man. Okay. And it just means that so much of our lives and our future is created at such a young age, right? And what happens, I'll give you an example. If there's a young lady and her dad abandons the family, okay, and she tells herself at that age, right, 6 years old, 4 years old, whatever it is, men are not safe, they abandon me, right? That becomes her MO, and that's become her worldview. The subconscious doesn't know that's bad for her, right? What its literal aim is to recreate environments that can prove it to itself the status quo, the belief system that she has logged about men. So you'll find that same woman in her 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s will be dating quote unquote bad boys or whatever it is, okay? Because when they leave her, it proves to the subconscious, right, that men abandon her, right? It's the same, you might have a friend of yours, John, who doesn't believe he's worthy of success, as an example, right? He's the guy, could be a very intelligent guy, but he's always late for the meeting. The boss never likes him. There's always a reason why he doesn't get the deal, right? And this is the thing with the subconscious. And so what our study has been for so many years, and we work with hundreds of clients, is to help people reprogram those patterns. And when you suddenly realize that sex is safe, that receiving pleasure is a good thing, like all of these types of things that we're really conditioned to believe aren't real, right? We no longer have to push away partners and sex and opportunities and business and all of these things in order to live a full life. Like we don't have to keep doing it to ourselves. And I know usually it's like quite a wild, you talk about sex on this podcast and that kind of thing, but I think that intimacy beneath that and that ability to actually come home to yourself and to love who you are and actually be open to possibilities in life, that's where the magic is. That's when we can start having amazing sex lives and the most like most adventure around it, because it feels so safe and we feel so like that we're actually deserving and worthy of it as well.
So it sounds like with you two are sharing two really important pieces, and one is maybe, and I could be wrong, one is a bit more about what you can do or create in your conscious mind or conscious world, and another one is working with the subconscious, which is like, is that what we're kind of looking at? It helps my brain. I'm like, how do I look at this?
And I think another way that you could look at this, Amy, is it's looking at it from a body mind perspective as well. So it's kind of like if we think about where our beliefs are, our beliefs are actually in our body, but we experience them in our mind as thoughts, right? Whereas when we think about like the nervous system, that is our body. That is what we're experiencing in terms of sensation. That's what we're experiencing in terms of feeling and emotion. Emotion is energy. Emotion is just sensation that is in our body. So this is really like a body mind collaboration.
Yeah, that's the wholeness piece that you speak to. I'm looking at your website and a lot of what you do.
Yeah, exactly.
And I just want to jump in and say, like, I thought about it before, but it's like really hit me now how important it is that you guys do this podcast, right? That so many people have this shame around sexuality. Like even like as you're like a teenager and your body's changing and you get horny and it feels wrong in some way, like you're having some form of reaction to stuff. And it's like, to actually, like, other than love, like sex is that sexual desire is the reason we're all here, right? It's like the most potent force on the planet. And to have an environment and a podcast that people can listen to where they can open up and actually realize that their desire, their pleasure, their sexuality and everything is valid and beautiful and like a really good thing. I'm really pleased you guys are rocking this.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, let's bring it to the shame piece then. Obviously we're Shameless Sex. When we started Shameless Sex, it wasn't like we said this, we're here to eradicate shame. We're like, I don't think it works that way, right? It's more like working with shame as a teacher, shame will come and go. We'll get new shame. We'll work through the old stuff if we're lucky enough to do that. And you're going to learn today how to do that. And the old stuff could still pop up later if something reminds us of it. So I think the shame piece will be, so curious about that. Like, let's dive into how shame shows up and gets in the way of people being their most alive, free sexual selves, or just selves, and sex as a bonus.
So my experience and my knowledge all shows me this, that shame has a singular purpose. And the singular purpose of shame is essentially to keep us small and invisible and quiet, so that we don't put ourselves out there in the world, right? It's to keep us hidden, really. That's what shame is. And shame breeds really, really well in secrecy. And I think that because of the way that society has been, I think, we're in a new era now, which is amazing. But I think that for a lot of people, and I think that it is still, certainly in certain parts of the world still today, there is secrecy. There is the message, let me get this right, there's the messaging of secrecy around sexuality. There is the messaging of secrecy, even in our family homes. If we all think back to when we were children, I think probably there are some people that would have grown up in a real kind of sex positive household, but I think the majority of us probably didn't. And I think that's a lot of that is we don't want to think about our parents
more
having
often
sex.
than not. That's the case. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But just boiling it down to like, we don't want to have to think about our parents having sex. We don't want our parents to have to talk to us about, like, that just all feels like completely.
When the sex scene used to come on like a movie or something, that kind of like thing descends into the room of like shame.
Yeah. And you're like, so we need to talk about this, or should one of us leave, or like look the other way?
And
most people have that experience with their kids or their parents where you're like, oh shit, there's a sex scene, we're all in the same room. Ugh.
And even when we think about our first experiences of sex, right, they're on our own, usually, in secret, and we don't really talk, people don't, certainly at the age that we start to masturbate or we start to have those kinds of experiences, a lot of the time, I think probably more so, I think boys probably maybe talk a little bit more about this stuff than girls do, but it's nobody talks about it. It's certainly masturbation was certainly never taught. We were never taught about masturbation in school or self-pleasure in school. Nobody mentioned that. I mean, the first thing that we really get to know about sex is like, that's how babies are made. Mm-hmm. Right? We're not taught about the pleasure of it, the joy of it, the energy of it even. So I think that is how the shame starts a lot. And then, if you take into account the sort of experience that I had, and I'm certainly not alone in that, a lot of people have had sexual trauma in their childhoods, even if it's sort of, people that have just had experiences with friends at school or, something. A lot of people have had at some point in their life a sexual experience that didn't feel safe, that was secretive, and that bred shame. Mm-hmm. So I think when you take all of that into account, the messaging, culture, society, experience, you've got this like great big melting pot of a place that shame around sex breeds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And just with what you're saying, so the way you worded that, I wrote this down actually, so you said I had an experience that didn't feel safe, and then shame is the result of that. So is shame always or almost always something that develops or pops up as a result of maybe it's not just an unsafe experience, but is a lack of safety almost always a part of it?
I think what it is, not necessarily a lack of safety, but it's some kind of rupture in the system, right? Yeah. So that could be, each of us experience safe and unsafe in very different ways. So what is safe for some people isn't for others, and vice versa. Yeah. So I think probably the easier way to look at it, or the more generic way to look at it, is that it's some kind of rupture in the system. It's something that it might just feel embarrassing or humiliating, or it might feel disgusting, or something that feels like there's a dissonance between how you think something should feel and how it is feeling to you in that moment.
Yeah. Hey, sexy shameless listeners, it's Amy here, and I've got a juicy question for you. Ever thought about turning up the heat in the bedroom with some extra fireworks?
Oh, do you mean like turning your grand finale into a full-blown fireworks display? Mm-hmm. Well, then count me in. My dude's been taking load boost from VB Health since 2024. And let me tell you, when he misses a day, we both notice at sexy time.
Exactly. Low Boost is doctor formulated with scientifically backed ingredients like pygium, zinc, and lecithin. We're talking increased semen volume, enhanced orgasm intensity, and yes, even better taste. So your partner will thank you and maybe even give you a standing ovation.
And let's not forget, VB Health puts safety and quality first. testing each batch twice in third-party labs. It's the real deal, y'all, not some sketchy gas station stuff that can give you those jitters.
No, thank you. And plus, Load Boost is vegan and made in the USA. Over 90% of users give glowing reviews, so you know it's got to be that good.
And it really works. So if you're ready to give it a try, then visit loadboost.com and use code SHAMELESS because you'll get 10% off right now. Or you can click the link in the episode's description. That's loadboost.com and code SHAMELESS for 10% off to boost your load and your confidence.
Thank you for all that. And then for people listening, because I know shame is like a big word for people. They're like, oh, shame. But how do you think, I have some ideas like for myself and for others, but I can speak to myself of how I can recognize when something is shame in my body and what that feels like versus it just being something that's embarrassing, or embarrassment is almost always a part of my shame. Actually, like 99.9% of the time, 9999. But embarrassment can be its own thing that doesn't lead to shame. Like for me, shame is, it feels like this armor that's taking me out of my body, out of presence. And for me, I can even think of past experiences related to sex or not. Actually, most of my shame is not related to sex, is related to other things. Surprise, surprise. And when I think about those stories, sometimes they'll just pop up on their own. And what I do, this is just me though, is I start to kind of disassociate a little bit. I'll notice I'm like humming, I'm like la 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 la, and making weird sounds, like kind of fuzzy. And then I'll notice it, and then it feels really uncomfortable to like think about or feel into this thing, and it's generally something I don't want other people to know about. Are those good indicators for like, oh, that's shame? Or do you have any other tips for that?
Absolutely. And there's one other one I just want to say on that, Amy, which I think is one that is a really easy one that everybody can really resonate with, which is, and I explain this as the difference between shame and guilt. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Very different.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So shame is I am.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, for example, I don't know, I've got a cup of coffee in my hand and I turn around too quickly and I throw the cup of coffee all over Mark.
Sorry, Mark. Yeah.
Right.
Standard.
Yeah.
Guilt will say, I've just done something really stupid. Right. I've just done this.
I've done wrong.
I've done something stupid. Shame will say, I am stupid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? That is the main way. When we feel shame, we make it about our identity, about the person that we are. I am bad. I am wrong. I am disgusting. All of those things.
I saw this really interesting clip, literally just popped up on like Instagram, and it was this guy, and he just said, "Isn't embarrassment such an underexplored emotion?" Mm-hmm. And when I heard that, it was one of those like big bang moments. I was like, "Holy shit!" Like, because we're so pain averse in life, we run away from feelings as well, right? So like an idea, a memory comes over the screen of the mind, and then we have a shame feeling that comes up in the body, right? And what I used to do as well in that dissociation thing, if I'm listening to a certain tune on Spotify or something like that, I'll spin the tune on to the next, like try and break the state a little bit. I just naturally subconsciously did that. But if we allow ourselves to actually explore and just sit in an inquisitive position with that feeling as it comes up and just let it pass through the lens of the body, what we're doing, instead of dissociating and almost suppressing it and just actually allowing it out, there's something that actually wants to release in that moment. And there's a real catharsis and a healing that comes when we stop running away from our feelings. And maybe the more painful ones, such as shame and embarrassment and so on, because it's so linked to the playground and social status and how people see us and how we externalize our what's called locus of control. Like we give our self-value to the eyeballs of other people, essentially, right? Yeah. But if we can own our shame and our guilt and all of these things and let ourselves really feel our embarrassment, I think there's a real like sense of power that comes back from that, actually.
Totally. Yeah, and it's a lot of work, and for myself, like, easier said than done. I've
Sure.
done a lot of work to work through certain aspects of shame, and I'm one of those people also, as one of the many people who continues to have experiences where I have new shame. A lot of it has to do with my own contributions to the world. I don't know if we're going to call them contributions, my own choices, my own actions, that's related to whatever my childhood trauma stuff. So, but regardless, so we talked about shame and how big it is for being your most free, vibrant self, whether it's
Mhm.
sexuality or not, and then how to recognize what shame is. So people listening, maybe you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I had this experience, and when I think about it, I shut down. I feel like, I don't know, maybe your heart races, you start sweating, or maybe you just feel like you want to crawl into a hole. Maybe you're humming like me, random show tunes. And so then it's like, okay, next up, what do I do with that? So what are some of the tools to make it so that this thing, at least the way I describe it, is moves from being armor that is hard to break through, limiting armor, to something that I have choice around.
So shame from a nervous system perspective. And actually, I just wanted to say one other thing, Amy, that I think is really important, is you don't have to have experienced shame around sex and sexuality to experience shame around sex,
Okay. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So you can have shame from any experience in life that then transfers into intimacy and sex.
Mhm.
So I just want to make that really clear, because I think some people might be sitting here going, well, hang on a minute. I never felt shame around sex when, I was younger, or I didn't have any of that messaging, or nothing terrible happened to me. And yet when, I start to get intimate sexually with a partner, or when a partner wants me to role play or use, sex toys or whatever it is, this sense of shame comes up for me. It doesn't have to be that it's because you had shame around sex. It could be from somewhere else that it's impacting you. So
Totally.
I think that's
Mhm.
important to know too. So how do we kind of shift, I guess, is what you're asking.
And I also, and how I assume this is some of the work that you do with people, like how you help people do this.
Absolutely. So the first important thing to understand about shame is when we go into a shame response, we've gone into essentially the shutdown part of the nervous system. So that shutdown part is the freeze. It's the freeze response. It can even go to actually what we call flop, which is an even
Oh,
kind of
well, another
lower.
F. They're always F's.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we always
flop.
have freeze,
Yeah,
fight,
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 flight, freeze,
freeze,
spawn,
freeze,
flop.
fawn, flop. Flop is another one.
Wait, yeah. Will you explain more about what flop is?
Yeah, so freeze, you will generally still be able to be well, a lot of people are still, you've probably had a functional freeze, right? So a
Mhm.
lot of people are still able to be very functional. This was me for most of my life. I was in a state of freeze, but I was really quite functional in it. Flop is like the loss of function.
Mm.
Flop is like, the brake is on, you're taken out. Some people actually experience it as fainting. Some people have kind of like episodes where they will suddenly come round from something happening and realize that they've just had like a big chunk of time that they can't remember.
Mm.
Um, that is a flop response. That is like you just get taken out the game, basically. Flop responses don't usually last for like a really long period of time, but they can happen.
Mhm.
So, but freeze, generally when we're in a state of shame, we're in a freeze response. And I think that one of the big mistakes that we make about trying to regulate our nervous systems or trying to shift a state, especially with shame, because shame is so tender. Shame is like those youngest parts of us. And they're so fragile and they're so vulnerable and they need so much love. And one of the things that we are taught, the nervous system stuff, it's like really in the zeitgeist at the moment. And I kind of hear a lot of the sort of let's fix it or let's change it. And the very, very first thing that we need to do, especially in a shame response, is to be able to meet ourselves in that place.
Mm.
Because if you can imagine that you've got a really young child next to you who is experiencing this wash of shame, and they come to you and you just try and cheer them up, right? That's not going to help them. They need to be validated. So we need to validate our shame. We need to let our shame know that it is understandable and appropriate for what we experienced at the time that we're reliving it in, right? Because shame is, when we experience shame, we're not experiencing because of what is happening now. We're experiencing because we're seeing it through a historical lens from something that happened to us or an experience that we've had in our past. So it's about really just validating in that moment, like naming what it is, understanding this is shame, this is what I'm feeling, and being able to have the part of us that can see and feel that shame be in dialogue with the part that's feeling the shame.
And is this something you do on your own, or you can do with other people, or all the above?
I mean, I think it's something that if you don't have any experience of doing, you can certainly give it a go.
Sounds daunting.
Absolutely. I think that the thing with healing, and especially around these, these very, very young parts of us, especially around these very tender, fragile, vulnerable parts, is that we haven't had the container of safety to be able to repair that rupture that we've got inside of us. So very often what I find in my work is that somebody will need to be somewhere that there's something called co-regulation, where you can scaffold, you can have somebody else's nervous system to help you to regulate. So it's kind of like somebody is holding this container, this space for you to be able to experience safety, so that you can practice, if you like, doing it with somebody else.
It's really important, because otherwise what we do is we take on the role of critical parent to ourselves, right? So the most pained part of us, the part that was sent out of the classroom, the part that didn't fit in, wasn't part of the group, we're doing that too. And it literally exacerbates the pain of it. And so the work we do is, like, Melanie is able to hold space for people in that way and help them come back into that wholeness. And then from there, when we're reprogramming people's minds to actually believe, instead of suppressing that power, to utilize that fullness and that power to create the life that they want to by reprogramming their minds and start taking actions that actually build them. What we're not doing is just doing talk therapy where you're just circling around your shame all day and doing nothing with
Blah,
it.
blah, 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 shame, 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 shame.
8 years later and it's still my mother's fault, right?
Yeah.
Or on the other side of it, we're not getting people to walk across the hot coals and everything's going to be okay again. Like, what a piece of shit, right? Because it's like Tuesday morning and you hate yourself still, right? The whole idea, and this is the whole healing process, it is the balance of the masculine and the feminine, right? You've got the feminine wisdom that brings you back into wholeness. And then you've got the masculine catalyst, like, right, you're in wholeness now, motherfucker. How beautiful, how amazing, and how wonderful do you want your life to be, essentially? And it's using all of our pain as a catalyst, because we're bringing it home. We're not running from it anymore. We're actually giving it a place to be loved and seen, and then to actually be used to really drive us forward.
And so that masculine and feminine, that is an experience, not just like a man and masculine and a woman is feminine. It's within one's self. You're talking about these different parts. Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then you talked about the reprogramming part. So it sounds like that's kind of like the next level of working with the shame. Can you explain more about that?
Before we go, can I just say one other thing, which is, because it feeds into kind of how we do this. And I think sometimes we also need to look at shame along with all of our other emotions as messengers, right?
Yeah, that's what we call it, like teachers, right? You're like, you're trying to tell me something, I don't like you, but
absolutely. And the greatest thing about shame is probably our biggest teacher, because what shame tells us is what we are believing about ourselves in this world. And if we can hold that shame for long enough to let it speak, to unfreeze it enough to give it the voice to tell us what it is that it's making out about itself, that is when like the magic really, really happens, because that's when we get to those deepest beliefs about ourselves.
100%. And so from a subconscious perspective, if we just take a step back for a sec, right, you've got the conscious mind, right, which is 60 to 100,000 bullshit thoughts a day, essentially, right? They're hot, they're an idiot, I need to buy bread, I hate my boss, you know, like continual nonsense.
Just brain garbage.
Yeah. And I actually think the brain, like the thoughts are just the exhaust pipe of the brain. Like it just so it doesn't like explode, considering how much other stuff it's actually doing, right? But then what you've got within that is the subconscious mind, okay? And the way I describe it to people, if you imagine, like, there's a difference between thinking I'm alive and feeling alive, okay? So there's a sense of being alive in the world, right? Whether you call it God or Buddha or life or the field or whatever, there's a feeling of being alive, okay? And if we imagine life is living us, okay, there's this sense of being in the room, being on this podcast, to someone listening, they're consciously aware. And the way I see it, if you imagine consciousness is almost like the projector of light in the cinema, okay? And that light is beaming through us, but the first lens it's coming through are your subconscious programs and how you see the world, how you see yourself and how you see the world. And so all of us are sitting in this movie theater of our lives, watching a movie of what we believe reality is, okay? And it's all just made up. Like none of it's true. We don't even know for sure that we're here according to modern physics. Like I think I'm dedicated to it, but I'm not completely convinced I'm here. Anyway, but no, you've got this light shining through you. And so if you live a life where you feel unworthy or you feel shamed about something, your subconscious is going to do everything in its power to keep it away from you. Everything it can do. If you don't believe you're worthy of pleasure, all right, or that you can be powerful around men or women or whatever it is, you will physically, emotionally, and spiritually avoid situations. I had this beautiful idea that self-sabotage is where your life gets better than the bar that your subconscious thinks you should be at. And so it fucks it up for you. You
beat the system. All right.
Yeah.
It's like a video game.
The guy is suddenly doing much better at work than he thinks he deserves. And so he like comes on to the boss's daughter for no reason when he's drunk. Like an idiot, right? It's like, you schmuck, you absolute schmuck. Right. And he just screws it up. And so when it comes to shame, like a lot of the work we're able to do is to help people reprogram when we're in session with them, to bring that shame, to learn to love it, to really bring it on board through Melanie's teachings, and then to program into the I'm worthy, I'm deserving of love. I'm open to it. I love who I am. Like one of the biggest pieces I personally work with people on is around self-acceptance and learning to love who we are. And it's like because we're so used to needing mummy and daddy's approval, right? We look for mummy and daddy in a boss, in likes on an Instagram post, whatever the bullshit is, right?
In our relationship,
we're looking for that validation. But when we bring in beliefs like I self-validate, I love who I am, I accept who I am, I'm a kick-ass motherfucker, like these literally like really important beliefs that you feel in the body, what it is, it's not like it's like the way you show up when you walk into a bar or you walk into a date or you walk into a meeting is just from a position of such fullness and self-acceptance that you become a magnet for what you want. And it's not like huge amounts of effort. It's actually just coming back into your wisdom and your own power, right? And therefore, what's beautiful is the shame itself, especially when we're working with people and going on a big journey with them, is the shame is the teacher that's showing us exactly where we need to work.
Yeah, so it's an indicator of all the directions or the direction that you can or need to go in if you want to. And fact. Most pussy owners need some sort of clitoral stimulation to orgasm, and many are not having orgasms from penetrative sex.
Say what?
I know, right? This is one of the many reasons why we are obsessed with OMG Yes. Not only has it changed our lives in the orgasm department, but I've been recommending OMG Yes to my clients for years, and it's completely changed their sex lives as well. OMGS features scientific research of real vulva owners, aka women, showing techniques to pleasure the pussy. They turn the research into tasteful, educational short videos, animated modules, and infographics for easy visual learning.
They call it OMGS for a reason, because OMGS is for anyone who wants to learn about pussy pleasure or take it to the next level. Whether you're a beginner or someone who wants to take your orgasms from good to mind-blowing, then you need to check out OMG Yes. They have 3 seasons: external pleasure, internal pleasure, and sex toys. It's not a subscription service, y'all, so you don't need to download a single thing. And it's great for partners who want to pleasure that pussy too. And for listeners of our show, OMGS is offering 10% off when you go to omgyes.com/shameless. Again, that's omgyes.com/shameless to receive 10% off unlimited access towards enhancing your pleasure power forever. Newsflash, everybody. We are picky about our lubes.
Can we say uber picky?
Yes, we can. And let me tell you all why Uber Lube is our absolute favorite lube ever. Uber Lube is a luxurious silicone lubricant that I want all over my body. Yes, it's designed for sex because it enhances intimacy while allowing you to still feel the skin-on-skin contact, but it feels so good that I want it everywhere. Uber Lube is long-lasting, leaves your skin feeling velvety smooth, and it's there when you want it, but then it dissipates when you're done.
Yes. Aside from using Uber Lube for all of my sexy sessions, and I use it all the time, I also use it for massages, for my hair frizzies, to prevent chafing, and it brings out the color of your beautiful tattoos. Thousands of doctors and therapists in the US alone are recommending Uber Lube to their patients because it's body friendly, less likely to change the pH, and has vitamin E so it feels moisturizing on the skin. Uber Lube has no flavor or scent, which means it's also great for oral sex. And it comes in a beautiful glass bottle with a pump top, which means easy access to Pleasure Town.
Want to see why we think Uber Lube is the best lube in the world? Then go to uberlube.com and use discount code SHAMELESS to get 10% off and free shipping. Again, that's uberlube.com right now with code SHAMELESS for 10% off and free shipping.
And what I'm hearing is, and also in my own experience, it's not overnight. It's not. If you're lucky, you'll feel some change fairly quickly, but not like, okay, I'm healed. And my guess is it's not about being like, oh, I'm fully healed, I'm clear, I'm good, I don't need to work anymore. But would you advise people, like when you're working with people when they do your program, and I want to learn more about the SomaCode and other things you do, but do you advise people like, it's going to be a journey, be patient, it's going to take time? Like, how do you talk people out of that mindset of like, they want the quick fix, the little blue pill with something that most of us know, and if you're listening, you don't know this, it generally isn't an overnight thing. There isn't a little blue pill. But like, how do you talk people out of that to be more patient for the journey?
Well, first of all, I think that the people that come to us aren't looking for the blue pill.
They're already beyond that. They're like, I know there's no blue pill. I tried.
Yeah, I think they probably already tried the blue pill.
Viagra.
And realized that it didn't work.
It's not just because my dick's not hard. It's other stuff. Yeah. There's more to it. Yeah. For sure. People think like, oh, if I only fix this one thing, right? If I work out more, if I eat better, if my cock's harder, if I get better at flirting, right? It'll get rid of these pieces, these stories that like, I'm not good enough. No one wants me. No one likes me. That still lingers.
I'll give you an example of that, Amy. I had a client that came to me once and she said to me, I think that the main problem that I've got, she was having like really struggling with her in her relationship. And she said, I think the main problem that I've got is that I'm unable to orgasm. And so I get really resentful every time I have sex with my partner because he has these amazing orgasms and he gets all the pleasure and I am just literally incapable of having an orgasm. So it causes like all of this friction in our relationship. And my question to her was, right, well, first of all, let's go and get you physically checked out to see if there's anything going on down there that means that you physically cannot have an orgasm.
Yeah.
So she went
with hormones, all those other pieces.
Exactly. And there was nothing, right? So I knew then that this was something that was psychological, emotional, spiritual, energetic. And I said to her, right, we can work together and we can absolutely get you to the point where you're going to be able to have orgasms. and you're going to be able to experience pleasure and you're going to be able to experience joy. But it's going to take time, and we're going to need to delve deep into some of your deepest, darkest shit.
It's going to be hard at times. Yeah.
And we are going to need to do things like have conversations with your vagina. Like this is going to take work, right? And if you're ready for that, we can do it. And she was first of all, she didn't believe me to start with, but we started
so I have to talk to my vagina. Wait, what? My vagina talks?
Yeah.
It's true, everyone. I've done it. It works.
It does. So, my vagina every month.
I do.
Mark has this. Are we allowed to talk about this?
It was only comedy, but no, I don't.
Well, I want to tell you about one of Mark's alter egos. It was one of the things that really attracted me to him in the first place.
Is it have a name, or your alter ego have a name and a persona?
Basically, Melanie, who has quite strong PMT, likes me to sing to her. At that time of the month, and as the minstrel.
The minstrel.
That is awesome. Oh my God, you're a great partner for doing that. So the minstrel sings to her when she's PMSing?
Yeah.
But it's bad when we're like at a nightclub or at a bus stop or...
I don't get him to do it in public.
Wait, tell me something the minstrel would sing.
I love that comedy.
Or you don't have to sing it, but is it like, you are beautiful, no matter what they say?
Well, no, it's more made up.
Okay.
Just comedy. We laugh a lot in our relationship.
We do.
And I want to go back to what Melanie was saying, but I also want to highlight that is just, I think this is important in doing the work, right? Like you can work on yourself and be like, oh my God, it's just work. There's no joy, there's no playfulness. And you can also, and there's certain times where like it needs to be quite serious or something, but also like there's moments to like it's kind of ridiculous. Humans are ridiculous if you really think about us and like the way that we are operating or the lack thereof. It's just like a comedy show at times. So
slightly well-behaved monkeys, basically.
Yeah,
and it's
exactly.
like we are mad. But allowing yourself to be bananas is the most beautiful antidote to all of it. Like and that's the whole thing. Is like our whole shtick, right? Is like you call it what you want. You call it subconscious reprogramming. You call it nervous system stuff. This is about coming alive, like truly being alive and celebrating this life because it's incredible. And it's like, that's where we're at, you know?
So basically, if you want to have really, really great orgasms, you got to do the work.
100%.
But more than that, you know, I think, as I said, first of all, when people come to us, I think they are past the idea that you can have instant gratification from things, and they're prepared to do the kind of the deeper work. And there's no escaping that. But what we also have, if you work with us, we can absolutely guarantee there is playfulness and there is laughter and
comedy.
There has to be. Absolutely has to be.
I want to say one thing though. Although we're saying there's a journey to go on, and there is, and I get that, but it's like it's not about quick fix. But there are changes within a few weeks that people start to have that are huge, because it's not just talk therapy. We're reprogramming the subconscious. We're like learning to connect with our bodies and who we are, and it's like everything starts to change immeasurably when you take your power back and, quite frankly, stop giving so much of a shit what other people think about you.
Yeah. And that's easier said than done, but it's powerful work. I love I don't think she started it. It wasn't Ashley Judd. I don't know if she started it or it's someone else, but it's like a menopause movement that's like, I don't care. So it's
I think like, I Don't Care Club.
Yeah, I Don't Care Club. Yes.
It is the best thing.
Yeah.
It started by a woman on Instagram. Her name is actually, I think she pronounces it Melanie, but it's Melanie actually. And she started it, and she's created this movement called the I Don't Care.
Yeah, like
I am of that.
I'm sweating, I don't care. My makeup's dripping, I don't care. I'm wearing my bathrobe, I don't care. Right?
She's brilliant.
And there's something powerful in it. So what I'm hearing is you're able to work with people who can enter into not just the I Don't Care Club, but also into a place of, like you said, it's aliveness, it's vibrance, it's something that makes you feel more magnetic and just, joy is a part. A lot of people are just seeking happiness and joy and peace and ease, but there's like an ecstaticness to it.
There is. There's something.
And a lot of the work that I do is helping people to feel safe, to feel that joy. Because if we think about it, you know, being in a state of joyfulness, I always explain it like this. When we have lived most of our life bracing and armoring up and being in that state of a kind of fight, flight, or freeze response, what's happening literally is our nervous system is constricting, right? So, and that impacts our whole body. Like you see when people first come to work with me, you know, they're hunched at their shoulders, they're tense, they're, you know, their faces look like they're kind of like snarling sometimes. So when we've spent, that becomes our normal. That becomes the place that we're familiar. And that's a lot of the reason as well why we recreate chaos and drama or whatever we create in our life, because essentially our bodies and our systems are looking for a way back to the familiarity.
So just, yeah, you have this idea that the familiar is safe, even though it was not safe, but now it feels like this safety net, which is quite confusing for the system.
It's very confusing. So I always say to people, you're not healing to get rid of the pain and the anger and the sadness. You're healing to be able to safely feel joy, because joy is expansion. And if you've spent your whole life, especially with shame, being constricted and being small, then being out here and being in an expanded state, that doesn't feel safe.
Yeah, it feels terrifying for a lot of people. And you know, until you start to feel that. So, and I just, actually, with what you're saying, I just want to go back to this. I'm hearing the big and, right? Like, we're not getting rid of anger and hurt and pain or trying to live a life where that never happens or pretend like it never happened to us. It is opening up to a place where you can have that, work with it in a way where it doesn't own you, control you. You're creating new thought processes and computer programs and, you know, reprogramming. You're de-armoring the body. And through that, then you can experience the aliveness, the joy, the happiness, the pleasure, the juicy orgasms, all of these other pieces. So is this all part of, and I know we talk about this, the SomaCode that you created, these are all components of this work?
Yeah. We just talked around exactly how this works.
The SomaCode. Yeah. So can you explain more about that? About when people do that work with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we have generally is a 21-week program with people. But there isn't like a cliff's edge at the end where we just stop. Like we then find a rhythm with them afterwards. So it might be once a month, every couple of weeks, or whatever it is. And the way it works is for the first 8 weeks, they work with Melanie 1 week and then me the next. And what they'll do is not only start regulating their nervous system, but Melanie will be able to help them find what those core beliefs that are really messing with them are. And then they come into session with me the next week and we start to remove those layers. And why that's different to talk therapy is that so often you can find out your mum screwed you up. Well, you know, probably, right? But so what? Like there is a healing in knowing that the pain is there, definitely. But unless you're actually reprogramming your mind, unless you're actually able to let go of some of that baggage, embrace some of it, but also let go of some of the programming, you're just stuck in a loop, right? And so it starts working very, very quickly for the first 8 weeks, where we start really shifting people's consciousness and their relationship with themselves. And then we have a 6-week period in the middle where they're actually working with both of us at the same time once the relationship is really formed. And that is where the alchemy comes in. And it's like absolute magic. And it's like, we don't prepare anything. We're just riffing with people, like just at the level of the heart. It's like, what is that pain? What's coming up? How do we reprogram it? What are you making that mean about yourself? Like all of these beautiful sort of really deep elements come together. And then once we've been through that, then we're really into the phase of kind of helping people to self-actualize, right? Because so many times in life, we see people run and there's this Taoist idea, right? That we're all running to the top of the tree. Okay. But the top of the tree is the least stable part of the tree. And so what we see, you know, is that Lauryn Hill lyric, isn't there? That we hail them, then nail them, no matter who they are, right? Like we love the ascent, but when we're up there, we want to shoot them down. But we also want to shoot ourselves down in some ways. If we haven't dealt with the programs and the problems that would cause us to self-sabotage once we're self-actualizing, we're going to fuck it up ourselves anyway. So we need to do the core work first. We need to really come into that deep sense of self-acceptance so that when we do spread our wings and we learn to fly properly, then we're actually doing it from a place of like coherence and togetherness within ourselves. And then people really start to fly. And, we've had a lot of our clients work kind of in music or the arts or in business, and we just find people's incomes really start going up. We have a client of ours who just did very, very well with a new album that came out. Like lots of beautiful things can really come from this, but it's not from a trying to make it happen. It's coming to a place of fullness first so that you can really rise.
Yeah. And it's really interesting how many of my clients or our clients will say to us that without even working on it specifically, how much better their sex lives and their relationships and their intimacy has become, or how much
it's all
freer,
connected. Yeah.
how much freer they feel in their sexuality, and actually not just in their sexuality but in their sensuality, because I think those are two very different things. And I think for women especially, I do a lot of exploring sensuality in the work that we do, because it's so important. We need to have this real balance of masculine and feminine energy in our external lives, but in our internal worlds as well. And working with sensuality is the best way to get into the feminine.
Yeah, and that for a lot of people, I know a lot of people don't identify as sensual or sexual because there's this idea painted of what it should be, and so I'm hearing very much about it's not necessarily you teaching or guiding people to be what you think they should be or society says. It's really helping them come back to themselves or their own unique variation of wholeness, which Shameless Sex fully endorses this. So if people want to work with you, I believe you said that it's 20-week programs, but how do they find you? How do they work with you? How do they sign up? How do they learn more? Give us all the things and the details. And for everyone, we'll have all the links in the show notes as well. But how do they move forward with those pieces?
Yeah, I think the best thing to do, if they come to our website, which is cominghomecoaching.com, spelt, so it's cominghomecoaching.com. And yeah, just to go onto the website, there's like one of our clients has put up like a really big testimonial in there, like a video one. They can watch that and see her journey. We've got literally so much information about how the program works, what to expect. And then all we do is like just say to people, like, if it feels good, like if it feels, I say it in the video on the website, like if it feels expansive, like that's your body telling you something, like listen to it. If it feels good, if it doesn't, we're not the right coaches for you. This isn't for everyone. Like, not everyone's ready to rock this kind of work. I get it, but
and not every coach is for everyone either, right? It's there's an alignment piece there too. So.
Absolutely.
Of course.
But I think as well as expansiveness, and this is something that a client that we just onboarded a few days ago said to me, which I was like, that is really interesting, is if it sparks curiosity. So I think when we read through kind of, websites, if we're going, oh no, I don't, that's I'm not really interested. No, that's not me. Or
not landing. Yeah.
But if it's like, oh, that's interesting. Oh yeah, I think I might have felt that way at some point. And we offer a free discovery call, so we are really open. We'll jump on a call with people for 30 minutes and answer any questions, get to know people. I think one of the things that is so important, because the coaching industry now it's really unregulated. It's anybody can become a coach. Mark and I are also very, very qualified and accredited in a lot of the things that we do, so that's important. But I think that the most important thing when you're going to work with somebody, especially when you're working around intimacy, which you can't not if you're doing this right, is it's about the relationship.
It really, really, really is. We did an episode about how to find the right therapist for you. We did this many years ago, and that was one of the key pieces. And what I feel, this is my own personal opinion, is I love people such as yourselves who actually tell the audience, like, we might not be for you. If we're for you, work with us. And if not, that's okay, right? And as opposed to the like, we're for everyone. Here's why you should work with me. But it's just, I don't, that doesn't go with the Shameless Sex model with what you all are teaching either. It's like, we're all so different.
It's just really, it's really needy. And it's like I do this work, like 25 years I've been studying, 15 years I've been full-time doing it, right?
Yeah.
I jump up and down talking about it and doing it every single day because I love it. Because it's like, Like it's just, I just feel life just pouring through me. I know Melanie is the same. Like when we're doing this, like when you're helping like alleviate suffering in someone, and then from that, helping them take that power and helping them to self-actualize. It's the most
rewarding.
beautiful thing in the whole world. And I'm not for everyone, and everyone's not for me. Like it's bullshit. For like we're different. Like there's a uniqueness to it, you know.
And that's one of the issues with this whole thing. Like why people have shame and are stuck in the first place is being told, here's how you should be and here's how you shouldn't be. Here's what you should do and what you shouldn't do. And this doesn't really coincide with that unique person. Of course, we need to abide by consent and boundaries and respecting other humans. But the same goes for working with people. And it's really important for people to work with people such as you that can hold that space for individuality and for maybe, you know, hey, we're not for each other, or I don't agree with you. Okay, so unfortunately, we need to wrap this one up. I told you guys we'd be here for like 40 minutes, but we went over because you have a lot of fun information to share that I think is really important. Everyone listening, go check out the show notes, but it's cominghomecoaching.com. They are also on Instagram, Coming Home Global. Again, everything in the show notes. You don't have to remember this. We love our listeners. We love when you review us. It helps people find not only Shameless Sex, but wonderful educators, therapists, coaches, such as Coming Home Coaching, the duo, Melanie and Mark. And there's a lot of people in the world that need that don't have access to this. They live in the middle of nowhere, or they're raised with a bunch of shame. So please go and give us your 5-star reviews on your favorite apps. I almost said dating apps. That was interesting. And let's see. If April was here, she'd say, we love you, our listeners. See you next Tuesday. Ciao for now. To learn more, go to shamelesssex.com.
And for 15% off some of our favorite sex toys, use code SHAMELESSSEX at purepleasureshop.com.